Om Namaste. So in this short video, let me just take you through the concept of our Yamas and Niyamas, the concept of our moral and ethical values or the virtues in Hatha Yoga practice. So in Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Gerand Samhita, they sort of explain or detail these 10 Yamas or the 10 rules or the moral ethical practices they conduct. And then they also explain 10 Niyamas or the observances. So the yamas are to actually discipline our animal, our lower nature. It's also sort of really finding the way to fulfill and enjoy our life and desires and day-to-day needs. And then the niyamas are how to become a good human being, finding our harmony, peace into our collective existence within our family, friends, and society. So the 10 yamas in Hatha Yoga are the ahimsa, which is non-violence. So the attitude of non-injury, non-harm, or non-violence towards ourselves, towards others, and also not allowing others to do that. The second yama is truth, the honesty, satya, the dignity or the non-manipulation in our thoughts, in our actions, and our speech. Asteya, non-stealing or not taking anything that does not belong to us. Samyama, so the sensual discipline or the continence, sort of having a little bit of self-restraint or self-control every time or whenever it comes to falling into the sensual pleasure or the sensory input, the sensory desires. Shama, the concept of forgiveness or letting go, which is quite important really for our own self and for others, sort of seeing ourselves as a human being, which meant we have the flexibility or allowance to also make some mistakes, so not being too harsh or too hard on ourselves. Sahansilta, the endurance, the ability to cope, ability to absorb, so sort of think of like the suspension we have in the car that gives us the ability for our car to cope with all the ups and downs, the dishes, the holes, the pit holes on the road. So also having that sahamsilta in our actions, our thoughts, our desires. So we can also take when someone says no or when things are not in our favor. Daya, the kindness or the compassion in our behavior, again in our actions also, especially towards ourselves, our friends, family, the society when they make mistakes. So having this attitude of compassion or empathy and apathy towards people. Vinamrata, the modesty and then the humbleness in our behavior. Humbleness towards ourselves, towards other people, especially our speech, our attitude, the way we talk to things. I've known so many people who they say, I like to talk or speak my mind. That can be so harmful or hurtful to other people. Mitahari, the modest or the moderate lifestyle, and especially the food we take. Not eating too much, not being indulged into the sensory sort of the taste desires or the flavors. So having that discipline of the food and lifestyle, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the only way to succeed in life is by living a moderate life. So the mitahari. And then the socha, the purity of your body, mind, and your thoughts. So these are the 10 yamas. Then we move to the 10 niyamas. So the observances or the practice that we need to follow to grow into a good human being or into a good spirit. Tapas, austerity, or for us we simplify it or sort of really see it as a disciplined practice, discipline your action, discipline in following the path and the practices towards the one goal. Dharya, the patience. So the discipline, to me, the tapas and dharya is actually sort of can be seen quite together. So having the patience, so to be able to keep repeating and going things over and over again and again, not having too much desperation for the fruit or the outcome. So you just keep nurturing a plant, you growing until it gives you the flower or until it blossoms. you're not too desperate. So the tapas is the austerity, disciplined practice, and the dharya is the patience, that you're happy to carry on and wait for the result, for the fruit. Shraddha, the faith in divine, or faith in yourself, faith in the practice. So having that faith really keeps us going, keeps us following the practices, keeps us following the path. Dana, this attitude of charity, attitude of helping, attitude of service and giving to other people. So not being too possessive or not being too self-centered, actually being more humanitarian and seeing what I can give instead of always looking in what I can get. Bhakti, the love for the divine, love for the humanity, love for other people. So really surrendering our ego, that I, that me, into the divine, into the cosmic or the cosmic consciousness. Satsanga, the gatherings or the companionship of similar minded people who are also seeking for truth, seeking for yoga, seeking for enlightenment, health and well-being. As in one of the key practice in yoga, it explains, is a satsang. As a satsang really gives you the encouragement, motivation, support to walk on the path that you have taken or you are trying to move on. Sarma, the sense of, again, the attitude which makes us feel shameful or not good about things which are not good. As even though sometimes I wonder, like this attitude of shame can also be seen as a negative attitude, but somehow when you think about it positively, then having this virtue in our mind, this practice in our mind, makes us to stop every time we're doing something that is not right, that is not good, or that is harmful, or that is negative for either ourselves or other people. Buddhi, the intellect. Now the intellect is actually sort of like, we're not talking about the intelligence of math, science, or engineering, which is actually, there's nothing bad in that, but here we talk about the intellect or the buddhi, the intelligence that we need to understand the practices, understand what is right and wrong, and then follow those practices. So also inculcating and learning and really reaffirming all the good virtues of Jnana Yoga, or the wisdom for our evolutionary life, our health and well-being. Tapa. So the austerity, again, it got repeated twice. So the tapas or the tapa, again, another disciplined practice. This is, I guess, for me, the first tapas can be seen as a more sort of practice that we are following for our life, the virtues for discipline. And then in a yogic or in a sadhana context, when you are looking for practices for your evolution, then it's more vigorous. Actually, there is no option yoga. Once you take the practice for your evolution, your meditation, your realization, then you just do them regardless of all other situations. There is no breaking of the practice or the rule or the sadhana that you have taken. And then a yajna or yajna is sort of translated as the ritualistic practices, but the yajna can be seen also your karma you do, the practices you do, the worshipping, the puja, the meditation, your Hatha yoga can all be seen as the yajna practices. So I guess whatever we do when we offer that cause, that action to the divine or to the higher, it becomes our yajna ceremony. So these are the 10 yamas and then 10 niyamas for our practice, for our evolution and well-being. Om Shanti. Om.